We haven't talked about this topic at all, but I know Disbrew you have. And during our pre-show, we had a wonderful conversation about this. So hopefully it carries over onto the live show since you guys are actually watching now. Let's talk about the Odyssey and the casting decisions made here by Christopher Nolan. Starting off here with Travis Scott here. Says, I cast him because I want to nod towards the idea that this story has been handed down as oral poetry, which is what is this
analogous?
Word? Yes, analogous to rap. I
point.
can't speak. Yes. Okay. So there's Travis Scott. Well, we're getting to your point here in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And Disbrew came in. I'll let you read in your own words here, buddy.
Remember when Gladiator 2 released its trailer with rap and it was awful as it didn't match the setting and atmosphere? Why you'd want to repeat that failure is beyond me.
Okay. Now, did you see Gladiator 2?
Yes.
I did. Yeah, I did. I did not like it at all, actually.
Why? Not why didn't you like it? Why did you see it?
I think it was on, I don't know, it was on some service, and I was like, I like the first one. I'll give it a go. I didn't pay for it. So, Spence,
I mean, you did. It was on a service.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not like paying directly for it. I mean, I'm paying whatever that month is regardless. So, but whatever, I was very underwhelmed by Gladiator 2.
You was just whelmed.
Yes, I was very, I wouldn't even say I was very whelmed. I was just, where?
No,
Disprove, what'd you think of Gladiator 2? Did you like it?
It felt like I was watching an inferior version of the first one. They wanted to repeat the first one, but didn't know what made the first one good. And so you end up with like this skin suit of a thing where everything just feels off. I thought I liked it at the start. I liked the initial, it wasn't a castle, like fort takeover with the ships and everything. That was great. And then the more you went on and on and on, I'm like, I don't like any of this. At the end, it all got solved with a guy giving a speech. And I'm like, what is happening? And it even, it's like, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Wasn't it the armor that they found, which was the original armor, and it looks just like it was perfect and everything? No, even the casting. Can we stop putting Pedro Pascal into things? It was at that moment where Pedro Pascal was simultaneously like licking a light on camera and in Gladiator 2 as a general. None of that kind of, and the very weird psychotic twins mixed in with, I think it was trying to be artistic when they die and things, and none of it seemed to be like a coherent vision. And I think it was the same with the trailer, because after the rap music trailer came out, everyone slated it, and they came out with a different one with music that actually fit, and it just felt better. I do think music and things, it's like emotional shorthand, and it's meant to fit the setting. I actually think it's the same with the actors. The actors are meant to fit the setting, and you can't just go around. So, for instance, Blabs will know, Harry Potter, they cast English people because it was meant to be an English school. So you have to cast English people in an English school to feel English. You cast them from all over the world, could be anywhere, in any country. There's no particular setting that you're creating. So I think with this movie, it's going to be the same. If you want to put American priorities into this, a Greek movie, an ancient Greek movie, poem, story, then it's going to feel American, not what it's meant to, and I think that kind of ruins the atmosphere.
Well, let's continue that real quick, because you mentioned the idea of casting Greeks in the Odyssey. I'm not familiar with this lady, Lupita Nyong'o.
You've actually seen her stuff because she's kind of like in everything.
Okay.
She's even in Star Wars. She's that weird thing in the sequels.
Okay. Well, she's playing two roles. See right there, Helena Troy and her sister, right there. To which Blabs responded down below, the uncanny resemblance right here to Helena Troy. And you pointed this out, Disbrew. Not a single actual Greek was cast for the Odyssey, but this African woman was cast for two roles right here. So that's odd. Also, Zendaya has been cast as the goddess of wisdom and war.
And
this really screams, huh?
This is, because I know some people are going to use it's just colorblind casting. It's the best people for the role. It's Zendaya, who has one facial expression, It's the same with the guy that played Master Chief in the Halo series. And he's like, no, you need to see my face to emote. And he has one expression, which is the same amount of expressions as a helmet if he just kept it on. And Zendaya always looks like she's disgusted at what she's seeing. Like, I don't know why I'm having to work. So, I'm against her being cast in anything, not just this movie. Yeah, that. It is like the faces, because you know with the memes where someone has one expression and just put their face for everything, happy, sad, depressed. You can actually do that with Zendaya, but take any screen of any movie she's ever done, and it'll be a whole range of things looking exactly the same.
Well, not only is she passed, but also another woman has been cast. Is Ellen Page has also been cast in this movie, despite wanting to be a dude and having way better abs than me. But was mocked by Elon Musk for Elliot Page's masculinity over here. And as you pointed out, Disparu, Elon Musk has eyes. So, well, this has led to a lot of questions about the casting of this movie. And before the show, Phoenix and Disparu were having a very interesting conversation, which I was just fascinated by. So I would love if you guys would continue that conversation. And I will kick it off with a little prompt of saying it all starts with the casting over here. And Phoenix, you were saying that you don't think that you think Christopher Nolan knows exactly what he's doing here.
Yeah. So what I would say is, respectfully, that obviously I have not seen the film. I don't know. But Christopher Nolan, I've always kind of put in the same category as Stanley Kubrick. Every frame of his films, you know that he was there for. There was an intention behind it. The wardrobe, the color palette, art direction, you name it. Christopher Nolan wants to be there because he's trying to make a specific artistic point or narrative point, whatever it may be. So for me, my opinion, when I'm seeing such clearly odd casting choices for characters, like you take Ellen Page, for instance, who would be playing Achilles, like the greatest Roman soldier hero of all time. And then you have, black people playing characters that were not black in the story, etc. These are very, very bold choices. So then I say, well, why is it? This is a Kubrick kind of guy. This is where everything is intentional. So why would he do that? My best guess, and it's interesting because that tweet, which I had not seen, is to my point, is that my best guess is that he's going to make some kind of point that myth essentially echoes through time. And it is universal, and it will go to this culture and that culture, and then this culture will mold it a little bit different. And this is that essentially at the end of the day, we are all the same story, just told to us for our unique culture and whatever it is, our life experiences, etc. That story is the most important thing, and how that affects us. So then when you start seeing that, and then you start hearing, which was news to me also, but to my point, that I was unaware of this, that the music is going to be like electronic or whatever. Again, this would go to that point of a mishmash of different cultural ideas being put into one to make this grand statement of whatever it is that Nolan is trying to make. So I think these are very intentional. If you look at every Nolan film that I am aware of, he has never inserted a DEI moment that I can see. He never put that before story, before what he was trying to say. He had opportunity. Oppenheimer was just a few years ago. That wasn't like an Asian woman. This is a very, very clear intention for me. And I think that before we jump to the conclusion that this was him being bought off or influenced or some DEI thing, I think it's worth exploring, watching the film and seeing what it is, because I don't think I'm wrong here. Please help me with evidence from the past that says that Nolan would do that. Gladiator 2 was a cash grab. That is not the same as Nolan. These are two very, very different people and stories and production crews.
I just think that even if he doesn't do it from a DEI perspective, it is inherently an American's perspective, a California American perspective, whichever part of America you want to call it. And you can tell that because the people that he's replaced are African. There aren't Hungarians in it. There aren't people from Thailand. You know, Filipinos replacing any of these people. And to do that very specific kind of race swap is a very American idea. This is one of the reasons you can tell in Paparazzi or whatever his name is in Harry Potter. That's not a British idea. That's an American idea. Because if you were going to do it from a British perspective, you would have had one of the sort of ethnic groups over here, which formed a larger part of the population, if you were actually trying to do like a modern version of England. And you get to a point where, because he has talked about myth, that is, even when he first announced it, one of the things he said was he struggled to write the movie because he didn't know how to crack it, and he had an issue with the gods. And the way he actually started to write it was when he thought, well, the gods don't exist. They're just more like a mythical explanation for people that can't understand how the world works. So they don't know what causes a tornado, therefore it must be a god that's angry at me. Which is one of the, it's a theory about how religion starts in the first place. So it definitely just seems to care about the myth. My thing is, though, even if you want to tell some kind of strange artistic story that no one else can grasp or you're not talking about in interviews, is there actually a difference? So you are still race swapping people, and does it really matter if you're doing it for DEI reasons or if you want to tell a story about specific cultures if the result is the same? If you are acting exactly, if you produce the same woke movie that woke people would for different reasons, does that actually change anything? Because if I'm not really sort of your arty kind of movie person, I think they are basically products of entertainment, and I'm not sure you're going to produce the best quality of entertainment for the audience if you are imitating and producing the same quality of product that people are already annoyed at because they've gone through decades of this already. I think a lot of people would have preferred, especially now in today's day and age, just a legitimate adaptation of the source material. And he has spoken about how this is like a one-off opportunity. It is a major chance with loads of money and a great director that a load of people like on one of the most well-known stories of all time, and you're only going to get one chance at that. I'm not sure you want that chance to be used to pitch like a message about very specific cultures rather than just telling the actual adaptation. Because you could have done this with like Lord of the Rings, which I think is what the next one's going to actually be. It's going to be more like this than the original ones. And I think that would have been a wasted opportunity for Lord of the Rings because, again, that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for that. And we're lucky we got the result we did.
So real quick, Phoenix, I found this interesting. This courtesy of geeksandgamers.com. Christopher Nolan, the man who race swapped Helen of Troy, included rap elements in the Odyssey, claims the film can't have an orchestra because they didn't exist back then.
Wasn't that tweet that we just saw? That's
similar. Yeah. But this is from a recent Time magazine feature. Nolan reported instructed composer Ludwig not to use orchestral music in the film's score because it wouldn't be historically accurate. He says, explain the reasoning bluntly, it's not like the orchestra existed back then. Well, if that's the case, this goes back to the casting of this. Doesn't this seem kind of hypocritical? And no, not for you, Phoenix?
No, again, because we don't know what if and or when I were to see the film, then I'd be able to, say what it is. But again, like, look at all these what feel like contradictory statements. You're saying that this is not we're saying that this is not historically accurate, but then we have this race with this person. We've got this person that would, we've got like an Ellen Page that would clearly never be a soldier that like of Achilles. Brad Pitt as Achilles totally makes sense. So when you have all this, you can just, for me, in my opinion, you can smell a clear intention that he's not going to tell you. He has never, that I'm aware of, ever explained his film. He tries his best to not, he puts it out there and he kind of doesn't say much about it. He'll give a little bit of a few sentences. This is what we're trying to achieve roughly. And then he kind of stays back. So again, for me, this does feel like a fever dream of ideas being thrown around. And I believe that intention is going to have something to do, as I said, that myth echoes across, cultures and stuff like that. And to the point that you were making before, isn't it just DEI? If I would disagree, your intention is what makes DEI. In the same way that, Ripley from Aliens, if we're going to use a fun film, that had a female lead. No one ever complained about that. And if that film came out now, for the most part, I think most people would get behind it because The intention wasn't going to be, I need to insert woman and I need to virtue signal about woman. It was essentially a story about the length of what a woman or a mother would go to, especially in the aliens, would go to save and protect her child. So it's all about intent. I do, however, completely agree. It's a hell of a gamble that no matter what your intention is, if it looks and smells like DEI, whether it is or isn't, is a very bad financial move. That would I agree with. In the same way that putting aliens out right now would be a bad move because people may dismiss it, understandably so.
See, that's the thing. I don't agree that it is intention. So for the Ripley thing, it doesn't matter what the intention she was in the movie. People look at the movie and judge it for what it actually is, what you put on the screen. And so she didn't behave like some girl boss that was going around drop kicking aliens in the face. She was very scared. There was even like male gazy parts where she's clearly in her underwear. She acted like a woman would in that scenario. And so it was believable and realistic. And I think a lot of the issues now, when people are complaining about female characters and things, it's because they're not acting as a woman would in that scenario. And so it's not believable. For intention, an argument would be Starship Troopers. The intention of Starship Troopers was the exact opposite way that everyone's taken the movie. It's meant to be a satire of sort of right-wing beliefs, but because he made it it's just true. He's just correct in all of the opinions. The stances of the soldiers are the correct ones. He failed in his intention. And I know some people are like, only the artistic intention matters, but I would judge the end result more than the intention of the author. And that's why I'm like, if you do DEI, it doesn't matter whether you want to be satirical. If it's still the same, like I think before the show I said, if you act like an idiot, talk like an idiot, speak like an idiot, and everyone thinks you're an idiot, it doesn't matter whether you're being intentional about it. You're still an idiot because you're indistinguishable from one.
Well, again, if the DEI elements in here is not to make a message or a point, but is just to merely say that of this time, of this culture, this is the thing, and so that is expressed in this potentially big melting pot of cultural ideas, and it's more like a documentary. It's not a statement. You're not making a statement that this is right or wrong. It's just part of that culture. As in a decade from now, it will be a different culture that would be inserting into this.
It's not even a DEI as a point that I'm really making. Like, DEI has negative points because you're now putting worse people in the movie than would have been if you just hired for merit. But there are other things which aren't DEI at all. So to his orchestra point, is orchestras didn't exist back then, but he's using electronic music. That's not DEI or even woke or anything. It's just, do you think this is a good idea? And if you're giving reasons, like we're going off the man's own words, his intentions. He's saying that historical accuracy is important, and he did it in the same interview he was on about I think it was Agamemnon's armor, and people are like, well, how did you have this coloring, why did you have this design? And he goes through and he's like, well, he's trying to give an image, he's rich, so he'd use really rare resources, and I think he even gives like the chemical breakdown of the things that could result in that in the time. So he has clearly thought about historical accuracy, but then he's just directly destroying it in other ways. And that's the thing, it's like, if you're going to give a reason, be honest. Don't look at like, oh, people are critiquing historical accuracy, I'm going to try and find a workaround. If you don't care about it, fine. But I think people would respect him more if he did come out and say, I want to include multiple cultures in this. And then you may disagree or agree whether that's a good idea, but at least it would make sense.
I think he's talking in a... I'm sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, I don't think any of this will affect the end result of the movie. I think Nolan doing the Odyssey it's going to make all of the money anyway. So I think everyone will get to make their own minds up about it, and it'll be interesting, the discussions that come out from that, because I think, given Nolan's films, people will land on both sides of it. I'm from a marketing perspective, I don't think any of this is a good idea. I think you should, if you were going to do this, you should have shut up, just release the movie, because your names will carry it anyway, and this wasn't really necessary.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah. This isn't going to help at all. It's even creating conversations like this, which can't be good for the film. No question. And I'm going to imagine there's more of you out there, especially in our audience here, than anyone would be on my side. And that makes sense completely. I think that's one of those things we're gonna have to wait and see. I would be curious to see if when he said like, well, orchestra didn't exist back then, so we have to be historically accurate. That's why we're using electronic music. I'd be curious to see if he ever continue with that statement. My guess is he didn't, because I believe he's talking in puzzle box. Because the idea here is he doesn't want to give away what he's trying to do. So he's saying, yeah, technically back then this didn't exist. So that's not what we're doing. And then
just
so
to clarify, he didn't mention the electronic bit. His statement was orchestras didn't exist. And people
Okay.
have pointed to the music and gone, but you're using electronics and rap and all that stuff.
Okay,
So
I would
he
just
hasn't
say-
said it explicitly.
Okay. I would say, to me, like, there's your everything. This didn't exist, but electronic music did. So whatever it is, there's an idea that maybe none of us have any idea of what it is, but I do believe it is going to call attention to what I feel is very, very specific casting choices. And I will be curious to see what that end result is. I am in complete agreement with you that this is one of the worst marketing moves in all of history. I 100% agree with you.
I mean, it was bad enough when people saw Elliot Page and like, what role could possibly fit for that?
Right. And by the way, Disparu is saying Elliot Page because he could literally be arrested for speaking the truth.
No, I'm pretty sure that saying that might get me arrested. Actually,
Yes.
the Supreme Court said that contradicted that. You are what you are born is the official governmental position of the UK.
All right. Well, we'll find out what happens with the Odyssey when it's released July 17th this year with a $250 million budget, which means it has to make $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
To be a success. Right.